Let's see. We are live, Chris. It is good to see you. We'll see. We're 30 seconds early here. I love Chris. You got the first comment in the chat.
Couldn't resist, man. Couldn't resist.
I love it. I love it. And I tell you, I could hear your accent for hours.
It's really weird because when I listen to myself, like when I'm like recording or editing or whatever, like I don't pick it up. But then when I like watch a movie, I'm like, do Aussies really sound like that? Because like I feel like it's really accentuated. But
you are the epitome of the Australian accent. When I hear your voice go, like I get like honestly, it reminds me of like it's like a cross between like AC/DC, Midnight Oil, Mad Max, Thunderdome. Like I'm trying to think of any other like Australian thing I can throw down. So yeah,
I'm not going to complain with that. But like, yeah, I think the only thing that I've been told is that I tend to mumble and I talk really quick. So if there's something that I'm saying and people are like, whoa, just slow down, just please do let me know, because it's not, I guess that's the way I talk, but sometimes I realize I need to just calm down and talk slowly so people can understand, because yeah.
I get it, because I've been told I talk fast as well. So I can completely relate. Francis, welcome. Always good to see Francis Floyd. Nice of her to drop by here. Yeah, I've been told I talk fast as well. The difference too, which we often hear, is the big difference, as a lot of people say, is like words that you say that draw attention. Like when you say calm, it sounds very different than when I say calm.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I get told off by my girlfriend a lot because when I say car, like it's not car, it's car, yeah. Like CA, like car. And people are like, wait, what are you saying? And I'm like a car, like go get your car. And to me, I'm like, I'm just saying the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. I think all of your words that all of the words that normally end in ER, Australians finish them with an A. I think so.
Yeah, like, I mean, McDonald's is Macca's, just naturally, yeah. Or if you're going down to the service station, it's a servo, or afternoon is arvo, or, I mean, there's heaps of them, and I'll probably end up saying it, not realizing it here, but that's half the problem. It's the jargon and lingo and slang.
And I hope you do. Like, I want to, every time, we should almost have like an Australian word counter where every time you say something that we don't normally say, like Macca's, point. Like, if you say you're going to dinner, you say I'm going to dinner.
Yeah.
Like everything ends in an A. So like, oh, it's not summertime, it's summer, right?
Yeah, summer.
Yeah. So it is what it is. I love it. I think it's so exciting. Like that to have you here. Like I'm excited just to get into like the fact that you literally ran an entire marathon in your backyard. We'll get there because like it just has a few people filter in here. It's awesome. So you got to let us know, like, what time of day is it for you? And first of all, where are you right now?
Yep. So Melbourne, Australia. Melbourne is in Victoria, so one of the states, and it's currently 11:30 a.m. on Saturday, the 31st of October. So for some of you, I might be in the future.
Oh, you're 100% in the future. Like for me, I look at you and like you already know what's going to happen. And for those of you joining us, I'm excited. I've got my Star Wars shirt on here because Mandalorian comes out tonight. I'm so excited. Like for season 2, I love season 1, but you've already seen it.
I've already seen it. I watched it last night. It's really good.
Yeah, and see, to me, like things like that, if only we could use the factory in the future for like things like sporting events and other things like that, it would literally make a world of difference, because then I can make a lot of money off the fact that you're in the future and we could go from there. Like I think that'd be amazing. Like is it the whole season of Mandalorian that's out, or just the first?
No, they're dropping it weekly. So I think the last episode will be, it's either the week before Christmas or after Christmas. So I guess it's happy days all the way till Christmas.
Yeah, and they're just doing it once a week, right?
Yeah.
So I almost need to wait a few weeks because, like, don't
wait. It's not where you don't want to wait, because you'll be kicking yourself for not watching it.
Yeah, because someone put it out there. Adrian, Nico. I'm not sure if we have Adrian, if we have Nico, if we have both of them. I think oftentimes Adrian and Nico just travel together. I have this vision, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, that one of them rides a motorcycle and one of them sits in the sidecar. And one day Adrian drives and one day Nico drives, and they take turns. Or they've got one of those bicycles where it's 2 seats in a row and they take turns who sits in the front and who sits in the back of the bike. Like I feel like Adrian and Nico do a lot of that stuff, which I think that's really important, because they're too awesome. They're two fellow Canadians. They're great guys. They love to. They're big into fitness too, so they love to work out. So yeah, both Adrian and Nico, they are. And I love how you said you two are just beauties, which is great. So when you were watching Mandalorian, did you love season 1? Was it fantastic?
Oh
Like,
yeah, I absolutely loved it. I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I've obviously been watching Star Wars ever since I was a kid, and then obviously growing up with the prequel series coming out, and then we had obviously the sequel series come out. It was just like, oh my gosh, like how can this get any better? And then having the Mandalorian come, it's just, and now everything is starting to connect, and there's little Easter eggs, and
oh,
it's just,
I can't wait. Season 1 of Mandalorian, love. Al Astrology, great to see you. Yeah, Brad, my guest, this is Chris. He ran an entire New York City Marathon in his backyard. We're going to get down there. We're going to get that just in a minute. Francis points out the fact she loves the Mandalorian. She watched all of last season. This is good. Like, this may end up becoming Mandalorian talk. We'll see where it goes.
which is fine, but I can't say anything because of spoilers.
No. You're the only one who I think actually knows the future. Lorenzo, great to see you, my friend. Always. Lorenzo joining us from Italy. He's my Italian tour guide all the time. I've never actually been to Italy myself. I've been to 1 or 2 other countries, but I haven't been there yet. Lorenzo's always been amazing. He posts some awesome stuff online. In fact, Lorenzo once did a video, which is early on in my YouTube career, just showing the stuff I do, and he shared it with his subscribers. Which, Lorenzo, I'm indebted to you, so thank you so much for that. Lorenzo, if you don't know Chris, this is Chris. Hazel, amazing. I love the what's up. I don't know how to say that. Is it Hazel? Is it just what's up? No. What's up? I don't know. Hazel, if I could do your voice, I'd do your voice. Hazel, what's up? It is great to see you. I love when you drop by. It's so like I love different people in the house. I've got Chris sitting beside me. He's the one with that lush head of hair. Yeah, he's showing off. He hasn't had his hair cut since springtime. I wish I had that.
Since March. Since March.
Yeah. So for you, the end of winter, because your seasons are backwards.
No, it's so March is essentially the start of our autumn or fall.
Yeah. So the beginning. Oh, great. So first of all, Chris, let's ask you a question. How well do you know your YouTube channel? First of all, I want to know from you, when did you first join YouTube? How was it? When did you first join?
Like the official, or you mean like my first running video?
You're just when would YouTube say you first signed up? Let's see how well you know your own channel.
2011.
Okay, excellent guess. January 19th, 2011. Very well done. Do you remember your first video title that's on there?
Running on the weekend.
Okay, did you research this ahead of time?
Nope.
Okay, full credit. You got both of them right. Okay, a final one. How many total videos have you done?
I want to say, I can't remember if it's above 250 or under 250, but I know it's between 230 to 300.
You're at 268 videos. Your YouTube journey, and for those of you who don't know the man beside me with that fantastic head of hair and the headgear, this is Chris Furlong. He lives in Melbourne, Australia. He's in the future. It's around 11:37 Saturday morning, October 31st there. I'm in North America. I'm in Ottawa, Canada, Eastern time zone. So it's 8:37 p.m. where I live right now. Chris is in the future. He already knows what happens in The Mandalorian tonight. He's not going to spoil that. Good for him. And basically, if you log on to his channel, if you're running, if you're training to run, if you're trying to get better running, his channel is a fantastic resource for you. He walks you through his entire 20-week program. So like, and before we get into that, because Halloween is right around the corner. What's your favorite Halloween snack as a kid? What's your favorite Halloween snack? So when you're going around, when little Chris, probably with some very shaggy hair, was walking door to door, begging for treats from fellow Australians, what was the kind of thing that he would want to be hoping for?
It would probably be chocolate. I'll take chocolate over lollies any day.
So what's a lolly for those of us in North America?
Wait, a lolly? Really?
Yeah. We don't call them lolly. You don't mean lollipop.
Like candy, like snakes, or I'm trying to think of some candy which is similar to here and there. So like anything that's sugary, confectionery.
Like gummy bears.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we don't call them lollies here. But lollies is a very Australian term.
Yeah, okay. So candy or lollies. I mean, this day and age, I mean, I don't mind having one or whatnot because I use it for the running and to get the sugar kick. But I think probably, to be honest, I didn't do a lot of trick and treating when I was a kid. But I think the one time that I potentially did it was I think we got like some of the gold coins, like they're like wrapped up in gold, and then you can unwrap them and you get the chocolate.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why I loved it so much, because as a kid you're getting chocolate, but also it feels like you're getting money or something that's treasury and special. So that was probably, yeah, that's what I loved the most.
Yeah, for me, I think it's always been I love like Reese's peanut butter cups and peanut M&Ms are always
Oh yeah,
my favorite.
yeah, crispy M&Ms. Yeah, every. I
Yeah,
don't
those,
think they existed back then, but if it was today, yeah.
yeah, like those for sure. Okay, what about this? What was your favorite Halloween costume you ever went out as?
To be honest, I don't think I ever did.
You never put on a costume for Halloween? Is that not big in Australia?
Well, it is big, but like we didn't grow up with it. So my background, I'm a Christian, so we didn't really follow that.
And
But I think I went with some kids back probably when I was, oh jeepers, this is, I don't know, like we probably did costume stuff maybe at school or something. I'm trying to think of the different costumes I've done, but to be honest, I don't think I've dressed up as something. It kind of sounds sad now.
no, yeah, I feel sad for you, Steve. Ultra Trail Steve.
Yo,
Steve
yo,
is
yo.
another runner. I love runners supporting runners. Great to see you. Victoria Sequence, fantastic. Great to see you as well. It's awesome. In case you just got here, Chris is telling us as a child he never went out trick or treating or costumes. So a little part of my heart has broken for you. For me, my favorite costume as a child, I went trick or treating every year. If there's an excuse to go begging for candy at other people's houses, I was all about that. My favorite costume was I dressed as a ninja, because it was super mobile. My least favorite, yeah, Victoria says this could be your first year, Chris. You should be heading out today. I love that. Great line, Victoria. And Steve's congratulating you on your backyard marathon. Steve, we're going to talk about his backyard marathon in just a couple minutes. We're just giving people a chance to get here and talk a little bit about how Winks is going on. So my favorite costume was a ninja. So you probably don't have a least favorite costume.
Well, no, but let me play it this way. If I was doing it now as a kid, but with what I know now, which is, I guess, is a bit unfair, but that's the way I'd play it. I would either be doing something from Stranger Things or something from Star Wars.
Okay, yeah. So my favorite costume was, like I said, dressed as a ninja because you were quick and mobile. My two least favorite costumes. One was I dressed as Darth Vader one year. The problem with Darth Vader is the cloaks and everything and the helmet. And autumn in Ottawa, it was pouring rain. So the gear was so heavy, I couldn't see anything out of the plastic helmet. I was running into things. I was tripping over stuff because it's pitch black. The other worst costume I had for Halloween was I was a two-headed monster. So my mom made me a giant pair of pants. So me and a buddy, we were each like in one of the pant legs and we had a giant hoodie on. But the problem is, it slowed you down and you're literally moving with another like 11-year-old human going along.
If you're trying to get to the candy the quickest, that's not going to work, man.
Impossible. Chris says, Brad, you should dress as a mukbang gone bad. Does that mean, Steve, you're going to have to let me know. Does that mean, am I covered in vomit? I think Steve's actually commenting on the fact that I put it in mukbang this week of the fact I ate a full kilogram of peanut butter just sitting in the middle of Niagara Falls. And I'll be honest, I didn't feel fantastic at the end of that. I muscled through. I ate it, and someone complained I didn't eat all the peanut butter off my hand. I was like,
no, that's gross.
I know. I ate it off my hand at one point, and I even said, given what's going on in the world, eating anything off your hand is probably not wise. But I did because I'm that committed to my craft of one mukbang a month. Yeah, it is what it is as we go along. So the first thing, like as we started thinking, what you did 20. So as we get into the marathon, the reason why I really want to have you on tonight, Chris, and for those of you who just got here, this is Chris Furlong beside me. He ran the entire New York City Marathon in his backyard, and Chris has put out a series of videos for the last he's done way more than 20 weeks of running videos. But he basically led up to this. So of his 268 videos, at least 260 of them are running oriented. There's a few reviews in there, but heavy on running because running is a huge part of your life. You're a passionate runner. What was the first thing that really drew you to running? What really had you get into running?
Yeah, so I mean, originally it was for weight loss. I mean, I was quite, so when I really took on running fully, which was probably, must have been 2014, 2015, around there somewhere. I started a bit of a weight loss journey, and that was becoming a part of that. So I actually lost about 22.5 kilos during that weight loss. And when I started doing the running, I needed obviously the extra cardio, but I was kind of putting it off because every time I was running, I was getting shin splits. So I went to the shoe shop and, got sorted out. And I remember when I actually got the right shoes, when I started running, it was like a Forrest Gump moment, because all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, I can do this. And then as I continued to do it, it became a bit more of a personal growth. And I love being able to see achievements. So like, you go for a run, next time you do it, you're a little faster, and it kind of begets that, addictive kind of mentality of like, oh, okay, I'm getting better and better and better. And so it became more from just a, exercise routine to something that I just love to do, and just to kind of release some steam and just feel good. And then it's over the years, it's progressed from, obviously as a hobby and something to do on YouTube. And now it's definitely, well, obviously still the same as that, but more of a mental thing as well, just to help clear the head and just really, with the longer runs, being able, well, you spend a lot of time with yourself, so you have to, you learn about yourself, and you learn to dig deep, and it's just really a good journey. And I think if I summed it up, it's not just the physical, it's definitely emotional and also mental as well.
I think for you, one thing that, and I haven't done as much running lately as you have. I like my running experience. I've run one full marathon only. I've run 3 half marathons. That's forever ago. And honestly, you've helped encourage me to start up running again. But I like one thing that you said about running is it's very quantifiable. You know, if you track your running at all, you know how far you're going and you know how long it's taking you. So you can see right then and there, like how you're doing. Are you getting faster? Are you getting slower? You can compare your good days to your bad days, and you can see the impact that both diet and sleep have on you as you go along. I also appreciate the fact that you say that when you're running, you really do have a lot of time by yourself. For some people, because they work busy, hectic jobs, like for people who don't know, you do work a full-time job besides just run, correct? Yeah.
Correct.
For you, like you said, it's a chance to blow off some steam, and also to kind of clear your thoughts, both mentally as you go through. It gives you an opportunity to just have that together time.
Yeah.
So as you've gone on, and what would you say, as you've gone on, have you found, as you were training for your full marathon, was it harder for you as you're getting closer to for those who don't know, a full marathon is 42 and change kilometers, or 26 and change miles. Was it harder for you, the physical side, building the distance, or is it harder for you, the mental side, knowing that you've got that grind still ahead? Which part was harder for you, the mental or the physical?
So in the training, I think building up to it, it starts off as the physical, but then once you start knocking out, I mean, through the peak of my training, I think I ended up doing 6 back-to-back half marathons on a weekly basis, meaning each Sunday I was doing a half, or at least a half. So once you get past that, it's kind of like the physical's gone, because it's not that bad. But then it starts to get to a bit more of the mental, just because, when you're running a bit more and you're putting on the load of, obviously you're, progressing and going up in your training plan, you feel something, or something doesn't feel right, and you think, oh, is that good or is that bad? And, you don't want to get overwhelmed by it. But I think from that contrast, when you're actually doing the actual marathon or the actual race, it's obviously it's a combination of everything. Plus, there's the race nerves, and you're a bit tense, and there's all that excitement. But, I never do the same distance of the actual race in my training, just because that's the way I do the planning.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be that extra element of surprise in terms. So I did, my longest run was 30K. I think it was 30. I might have done a bit more. And, so once you got past that 30K in the race, all of a sudden your mind's like, it's like, okay, you haven't trained past 30K. And all of a sudden it just triggers, like there's this weird mentality of like, oh, I haven't done this for a while. How am I going to do it? Even though I've done a marathon before, it's just that mentality, because your body's not like, it's not like you've done it every day. So it definitely does put a toll and a challenge on the mental and physical, because your body's going through a new experience.
For sure. Hey, Tony Claire, welcome to the house. Steve points out, at least if you had to go to the bathroom, you're close to home. And so and this is one of the big things that as we lead into, as we start thinking about this, so how many marathons have you done in total?
So this is my second now.
Okay, so first one you did more of a traditional marathon, correct? Was it also in Melbourne as well?
Yeah, so that was the Melbourne Marathon. That was in 2019. And yeah, I mean, it was around Melbourne, and that was with, well, I think they had about 20,000 other runners. So complete opposite to what I've just done.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And for those of you out there who don't know, I lived in Melbourne for 1 year. My best half marathon time I ever had was actually in Melbourne. I ran the half marathon. I lived in a suburb, for those of you who want to fact check me, a suburb called Bundoora. in Melbourne, and I loved it. And when I ran the half marathon, I trained with 2 Australian guys who I got to know while I was living there for the year, and so I really enjoyed my time there. But one thing I noticed is when you run a full marathon or a half marathon, you've got the crowd to keep you going. You've got the crowd to kind of encourage you along the way. You were running an entire 42 and change marathon in a backyard where you had, like, correct me if I'm wrong, you had very few people to cheer you on because of what's going on with the world. Like, how is before we get into that part, how is Australia right now with the lockdown and everything?
Yeah, so Australia has been quite interesting with that. So at the start of the year, we had our first wave, which was around March, and we all went in to work from home, but we didn't go into like extreme lockdown. And we kind of got past, so basically certain businesses had to close down and whatnot, but we basically came out of that first wave in June, July, and then everything just peaked. Like we were getting, like 300 to 500, or actually I think our worst day was just shy of 1,000 in a single day, which compared to the world isn't that bad. But for us, our state government wasn't going to have it. So they basically shut us down in a 5 kilometer lockdown radius. You could only do at the start only 1 hour of exercise outside of your property. And it gradually, went back up. So that kicked in at around, it was probably about 10 weeks into my training, maybe 8 weeks into my training, where we had the 1 hour exercise limit. I was only allowed to do 5 kilometers within my area. We weren't allowed to, only one person was allowed to leave home to go to the shops. Like, yeah, it's pretty intense. And we only actually just recently opened up again in terms of retail, but still with a 25 kilometer distance radius of that you're allowed to go out. And that was only last week. So we're still not out of the woods.
No, but so one of the questions we got asked by Steve was, how long was your loop in the yard? Because while you're just running laps, and what we'll do, Chris, I've got some questions for you. We'll try and mix in as people ask them in the chat. So we're going to kind of cover things out of order, but it's really great to get people, like, while they're here, to make sure we can get their question covered.
Yeah.
So the questions from Steve, because Chris did the entire marathon in his backyard. How long was the loop in your backyard?
Yep. So just to clarify, so because luckily they had the 2 hour exercise limit outside of home, I was able to do 2 hours outside of home first. So that was just 4 lots of 5K. And then actually doing the backyard piece, which was basically 2.5 hours amount, I had to do roughly 58 times 400 meter loops. Now with those loops, it's pretty flat, but when you're doing the loops, you start to pick up something that's even a little, with a little bit of elevation, feels like the end of the world. So a lot of it was flat driveway, but it wasn't road. Like it was half, like dirt track versus grass and mud. And then I would kind of loop back into my property and do a, kind of like a downhill kind of sprint in between everything in the property, and then come back out into the driveway. So luckily we've got a side driveway to our property. So that made a quick benefit. But yeah, so loops of 400 meters. Yeah.
So just under the first half of the marathon, you're able to run out in the streets, sort of more to how you're used to running, where you can keep a normal pace. Then the back half of the actual marathon was literally in the yard. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, check out the video. And we're going to get into some of the emotions that go through the run as well coming up, which I'm, because having run one myself, I know, like, a lot goes through your mind as you go along, which leads us into the other question here from Victoria. She says, like, what do you think about during the run? So while you were running your marathon this time, which is maybe different than your training runs, because your training runs, probably different things are on your mind as you go through.
Yeah.
But what was on your mind while you did this run?
Yeah, so I tried to plan out the marathon as perfect as possible. And because my training, a lot of my longer runs, I started listening to audiobooks. So I figured, well, I'll try and do that for the first half, just to at least get it done and dusted. So I actually listened to The Alchemist, the audiobook. I hadn't listened to it before. And I did it at 1.5 times, which got me to basically about 25, 26 kilometers. So it was about 2.5 hours of listening to the audiobook. And then after that, I had built a playlist which would then ramp up in terms of as I got harder to potentially motivate me further and further. So when I'm thinking, though, sometimes I'm listening to the book, but sometimes you kind of like zone out and you just something, whether you feel something or all of a sudden everything just gets overwhelming. So it is a roller coaster of emotions, because one moment I'm like, this I've got this, and then literally it'll be 30 seconds later and I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Like,
yeah, no, and one thing that and Jess Kaplan, welcome Jess. It's great to see you. She commented on the fact that your video was epic, and like I watched
thank
it,
you.
and I've watched it more than once. And the one thing that hit me is the raw emotion you share in that. And having run a full marathon, I remember those times when I felt tired near the end, like when you get near the back half, but you've got the crowd out there to cheer you on.
Yeah.
Right. So they can kind of help. And if you've never run a long distance, you don't really understand, but it's crazy to think that strangers just clapping, and you'll remember this when you ran your traditional marathon, Chris, just strangers just clapping makes a big difference for your motivation.
Yeah.
Just hearing some random person say like, you can do it, or way to go. Because you fight a multitude of emotions, both physically, like, because you feel tired, you feel sore, you feel thirsty, you feel hungry, like all these things. Parts of you are starting to hurt, but then you also deal with the emotional baggage. So you feel like I feel tired, and you deal with all kinds of stuff. And for you weren't even able to just maintain like people can in the streets, because every time you hit the fence, you literally had to stop, turn around, and go back in. So you couldn't maintain that momentum.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I was able to have my so obviously I live with my family, and luckily I've got my brother and his family living with us as well. Before all this, we went into lockdown, they were with us, and so I mean I didn't want to put pressure on them to come out and to be here and there at certain times, because I didn't know how I was going to go, and I didn't want to force people to be trying to cheer me on, because I thought that it's not going to be fair for them. Plus, I don't want them to make me get annoyed because I was quite honest about it. I said, if people are just there faking to support me, I feel like I'm getting patronized. Whereas I wanted them to just kind of pop out when they wanted and when they felt like it. And in the end, I was so happy that they did. So in the video, I had my dad running with me, and one of my nephews. I think I had both my nephews in the video as well. And to be honest, I didn't expect any of that. I had no idea. And just for record, like my dad, I've never seen him run like that before. He's got he's had 2 back operations. So for when he did that, like, I mean, I was wearing my glasses, but I lost it. Like that was emotional stuff. So to have that, it was, it didn't necessarily boost me for a very, very long time. But in that perfect moment, I felt like I was, killing it, right? Because all of a sudden you get that adrenaline rush, you're just feeling excited, you're feeling good. And, it helped in the end. So those little pieces, they make a huge difference.
Because you could, like, the emotion was palpable when they came out. Like, we could feel, and this is one thing to give you credit, like you could feel your emotion. Like, I felt like I was along the journey with you. Like, as much as I was just sitting on my couch watching, but like the way you documented the backyard marathon, that the New York City backyard marathon was amazing, because I felt like I was on that. And like Steve just said there, like he said that was so awesome. Victoria put in the fact, like, love that your dad ran a few 100%, like. And Jess puts in, that was such a cool moment. Like 100%. Like, at what point of the marathon did they come out? Like, when did they pop out? Like, how much did you have left? Because like it's sometimes hard for us to see the time. Because like I felt when they came out, I felt like it was emotional for me, and I'm just sitting there. I haven't run all those kilometers.
Yeah. So my mum I was doing drink stations every 5K because of the loops at the start, and then basically, I mean, once I was doing the 400-meter loops, the table was obviously there every 400 meters, but I was trying not to drink and whatnot until every 5K, just to keep that consistency. So my mum was kind of popping out every so often, taking some photos and whatnot, which was just to make sure I got everything. And then by the time I got to probably, I was around 20K, they kind of, they stepped away. Well, mum stepped away for a bit, and, that was fine. And then it wasn't probably until about 31K, I think mum came out and checked in, and just to check that, how's everything going. And I think she saw that I was a bit of a mental and emotional wreck. So then, the others started to jump in. So probably between the 33, 34, all the way up to the 42, they started to pop through. And I think from the 36K onwards, that's when they were really there the most, I think.
Yeah, and that was, and just welcome Sean and welcome Kev for coming by.
Yo.
I love the support. Thanks for coming through. And like I can like, we could feel the emotion when they came out, because at that point, for those of you who haven't run that far, like, how are you feeling physically? Because you've done a ton of loops. How are you feeling at the 38-kilometer mark? You have 4 kilometers left, which for a lot of people who don't run 4 kilometers is hard. But you've got 4 left after having run all of those.
Yeah, so it was I underestimated it. I mean, doing my training, I did a lot of my training in the same situation, but I think it all just came together. And look, there's probably a lot of things, and I've got my marathon recap video coming out soon. But there was probably a few things where I underestimated was just the mental challenge and that momentum slowing down every time I had to turn around. Because at the start I was doing I wasn't stopping when I was getting to the fence, but when I was getting to the fence, it was getting harder to keep that momentum. So then I would naturally kind of turn around, but then you lose that that speed, and then it's so what, because I mean anyone that runs, you know that once you stop, you're going to continue to stop because it's like you've let go kind of thing. So the challenge is to continue to run without stopping as much, because once you've done it, you've kind of you let yourself you let yourself do it more.
Yeah, like I said to you a few minutes ago, the stop and start would be so astronomically hard because it's like you're going, you're coming to a full stop at the fence, you turn around and go back, and then you're grabbing your drink, and people don't know, like, if you're trying to drink while running, as a lot of you guys know, that's super hard.
Yeah.
But now you're trying to run pace, and if you haven't seen the video, you've got to check out Chris's video. It's one of my favorite ones he's ever done. I've seen a ton of his stuff as he's building up to this moment, but you realize he's not running through flat terrain. He's running through his yard, and his yard is uneven, like most of our yards are. But your yard is bigger than most yards just by nature of where you live. And you can see there that you're going up and down. So you have an issue. You don't want to roll an ankle. And we know from Steve, who's been out there, Steve, he's just dealing with an ankle injury because he pushed through an ultra marathon. And so you runners can relate. And for me, last week I ran 3 kilometers, so I understand what it's like as a runner. I know what it's like. Now 3 kilometers isn't quite the distance that Chris and Steve do, but 3 kilometers for me, it was 3 more than I did.
It's a big deal.
It's baby steps as I try and get into this, because where I live, it's gonna get harder and harder going forward, training outside as the snow comes down. Steve gave me a little.
That's true.
Yeah. So as we go through, it's just one of those things. So how did you end up though? What was your connection with the New York City Marathon? Because you ended up connected with New York City Virtual Marathon. How did you end up with them? And is Melbourne also doing a virtual marathon?
Yeah. So originally the plan was for the Melbourne Marathon, which was meant to be the 4th of October. Obviously, because of the situations, they delayed it, and then they pushed it out and said we're not going to do it till December. And I was like, I can't delay my training till then, because I'm like, I've already done my peak, I've already started taper, and it was just I just didn't want to do it, right? So I'm like, I was trying to find the closest next virtual marathon because I still wanted the official time. Because I mean, I could run a marathon and that's fine, which I would have done if there was no other option. But I wanted that official time because I want proof that it's recorded. So I tried to do the London, but it was sold out. They weren't doing it for unlimited amounts. I was like, that's a pain, and that would have been the same day. So then I was looking.
Even virtually, it was sold out.
Yeah, they wouldn't let any more people join. So I was like, okay, whatever. It might have been because of the timing, because I only found out maybe it was probably 3-4 days before. So it might have been due to that. And then, so I was looking around, and then I'm like, oh, the New York one's in 2 weeks after that. So I was like, I could delay it by 2 weeks and just, do the tapering. So, I kind of looked into that, could I do it, in Australia and all that? And they said, yeah, as long as you have Strava, it's all good to go. And I was like, okay, happy days. So I had to adjust my plan a bit. And then, yeah, I guess that was probably just the quick win. And I will actually get a medal from them eventually. It's just, I don't think it comes out till December. So
this might be okay. Victoria says, how far in advance do you need to book the London Marathon or all those? Do you know?
Yeah, so it's a bit weird. So I know for the Melbourne, I could still literally sign up a day before it this time if I wanted to. Whereas the London, I think because they weren't ever planning to do virtual, maybe it's because they didn't have the infrastructure in place. I don't know. I was a bit confused by it, and I was a bit annoyed. But the New York, yeah, you could basically sign up the day before, the window that you have to do the run and just get to it straight away. So usually, traditionally, if you were running on course, yeah, you need to have it by a certain period of time. There's pricing periods, so the earlier you do it, the cheaper, and then the later it gets more.
You get your race kit, you get your bib. They'll give you you get a shirt, so you get all kinds of stuff. Now this might be a random question, but what did they charge you for the New York Virtual Marathon? Do you remember?
Yeah, so Yeah, so I paid, I don't know if it was 35 or 55, but I paid the more expensive because I wanted the medal.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm curious just because for me, like as someone who didn't do it, like the virtual marathon didn't cost them anything besides mailing you a medal at the end if you wanted one. Like, because what would it cost? Like, right? Because really anyone could run it from anywhere in the world, and you're tracking it. So how did it go about? Like, you needed Strava. Did you uploaded your results from Strava? Like, how did that all come
Yeah, so
together?
it's actually pretty good, and I think that's why it's so good because I mean, at the end of the day, you don't have to worry about stressing about anything. So, the infrastructure behind it is essentially as long as you could either use their app to do it,
Yep.
which meant you had to have your app tracking it, or you could do it on Strava app, or you could do it with a fitness watch. Like, so I use my Garmin, and because that syncs to Strava, the only thing I had to do was just tag the run as a race, and then that's it. And I just had to make sure I didn't stop middle of the race because obviously it would say that I'm cheating. And then yeah, it was that's as simple as it was. Whereas other ones I've had to do is you do it all on Strava, but then you still have to like take a screenshot and give it to someone or upload your results. So this was just through and through and done and
So
dusted.
their only rule for you for the New York one was you just couldn't stop. So is you could walk, but you couldn't come to a full stop, or you were allowed like this might like not to be too much, not to be graphic, but like what if you had to stop to go to the bathroom?
No, so I just can't stop my watch. So
Oh, sorry, I
if I
understand.
pause,
Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So as long as your watch is still running, then technically you're still competing. But if you stop your watch and start it again,
yeah.
then all of a sudden then that's not yeah. Because a lot of times like you see runners like people have to stop to take a drink or they have to stop. I just wasn't sure, but yeah, just for clarification. No, that's really cool. And I love the fact that like you're gonna get an actual medal. Do you know how many people competed in that one virtually?
I think there was I can't remember the note. I think it was 42,000 or 52,000. It was global, so there was people all over the place,
Yeah.
and I know there was people in Germany, like Europe. There was people in, well, obviously Australia. I haven't checked all the numbers since, but yeah, when I originally signed up, I think it was like 42,000, and then by the time I was seeing the results, it's like your X of 50 something thousand. I was like, whoa, that's intense.
Yeah. Have you had any follow up from anyone else since you finished the race, or like when you were done the race, it was kind of like just pat on the back and you were done?
Yeah, so I had the New York Roadrunners reach out, which were the guys kind of helping promote the New York Marathon. So they reached out for some, just some pictures and stuff, and they actually
Cool.
shared that with NBC on the Today Show, which I was featured twice. Actually, they featured my picture just to show where the diversity was in terms of different regions around the world, and then they reached out for my story because being in Australia, being a bit
Yeah.
unique with the backyard situation. So I did do a little interview as well, and they did highlight me on that. I got a bit of FaceTime and a video up on. Well, I don't watch the show because I'm in Australia, but they sent me the link and I saw that. But I mean, I was quite humbled because some of the other stories in there were totally like inspiring because people that were running for cancer, and then there was one girl that she wanted to do it because she had lost two people in her family this year, and watching that I was like, okay, like I'm glad I'm on here, but like I feel like I didn't deserve because my circumstance to theirs was nothing compared. So but I was very grateful to be given that opportunity.
But it just goes to show, and like I think, and this is one thing, like YouTube has really brought the world together. Like I would have
Yeah,
never met you if not for YouTube. Like,
100%.
and you're literally across the world. But it goes to show how much has shrunk the world. That not only like you, literally in the backyard in Australia, your people are reaching out to you from
Yeah,
NBC in America,
yeah,
wanting to put you on their program, and like that is just that's mind blowing. That is so cool for you. Like honestly, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Like like
thank you.
for those of you who don't know, like Chris and I, like we chat every now and then, but YouTube like off the camera. So it's great for like I love seeing you get some love from NBC and from whoever because like the training, the hard work you bring in, and that phenomenal head of hair, like all of that stuff combined, I think is just so cool as you bring it all to like NBC in America, so you have
Yeah,
a chance to share it.
it's quite overwhelming, and I had a few people reach out when I was training as well, just friends on Instagram or other people. And I mean, anyone that's probably watching any of my videos, I mean, over the last since June I've had a lot of new people join because of the series. But I was quite overwhelmed with, well, one, the amount of growth of the community, but just people asking certain questions or saying, oh, I'm inspired. And I was just like, if you asked me a year ago, like, that I'd be inspiring people and stuff, it is it's very overwhelming. Just because I think anyone, and I think this is, raw enough to anyone, is that, as you're training for something or as you're going through life, that, there's always that doubt, or you're looking towards other people like, oh, this person, they've got it all together. How did they get there? And there's always people you're influenced by. And then you don't necessarily think about the influence you have on others, even though we always do. Like, everyone has an influence on someone else. You just don't know it. And then when it actually starts to come out there and you've got not just one, but 2 or 3 people reaching out, it's kind of like, oh, wow, like, actually, and you become a bit more self-aware, and, you need to make sure you take a bit of the humble pie just to make sure that, I take that very serious, because, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, look at me. But like, if people are asking me, I'm like, well, this is, it's very heartwarming. So yeah, it's very overwhelming.
And I think you bring up a great point. Like, I think, and welcome running for my best life. Great to see another runner in the house. I think it's great though, you point out the fact that, like, you don't know the reach you have, you don't know the impact you have, and you don't know the amount of people that you've been able to inspire by doing a backyard marathon. The amount of people who see your story. You're a regular guy working a full-time job. You started this whole journey because you're trying to get healthier, get fitter, right? Our journeys where we started is very similar, right? Like, I started my YouTube journey because I wanted to be healthier. It wasn't like anything else has been a byproduct, but like I said before, I started filming myself working out because it held me accountable.
Yeah.
If I was gonna post a workout video, it meant I had to work out.
Yeah.
And I had to work out hard. So you'll see in the beginning, like, I was pushing myself really hard consistently, and like over time, like, and now like my channel's changed a bit because I don't do necessarily the same really long heavy workouts. I still love them. I do them for me, but other people want to work it along with me. So now I've tailored some more of them to some shorter workouts because different people seem to be drawn by that. But for me, it was to hold myself accountable. Like, for you, was any part of filming all the running videos to help hold you accountable in the beginning?
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny when you say that. So when I first started, I was more filming just because, well, I just wanted to film. I didn't really know what I would be sharing. And then as I started to do a bit more, I think it helped me kind of with my goals, keep me accountable. But I'm not one, I don't always like to share some of my goals in advance, just because, well, to be honest, usually I don't like putting out expectation if I'm going to fail and then I have to show everyone that I failed. That's something I've always dealt with. But as I've gotten more comfortable, and I think with this marathon, I think this year has been very, very key, is, well, because of the situations, there was a lot of things that changed. So when I started the series, my first video for the series, I said I'm running my second marathon this year with the knowledge, knowing that things will likely change. And I said upfront 100% to everyone that, well, if it gets pushed out, if it gets cancelled or whatever, I'm going to do it regardless. Not knowing what that would mean, if it meant that I had to, I wasn't expecting to be doing it in my backyard. I thought maybe worst case, I'd be just doing loops around, 5K or something, which is a lot better than 400 meters. But I was like, okay, well, I've because I had that intent and I put that up front, it makes it a lot easier to do. I'm not saying it was easy. It just makes it a lot easier to do that. Yeah.
Because so much of distance running is just it's a mental battle. Like, I can't imagine someone like Steve, and I had Vince on the other week. We were talking about running. Like, these ultra marathon runners, like the distance that it takes, the grind on the body, and like a fellow YouTuber, Steve, and it really is like a small community here that we have all gotten to know each other, and we see Santa Monica's being represented, Oregon's represented, Melbourne, Australia's represented, Ottawa, Canada's represented. Right, like, we've got people from all over representing where they are.
Yeah.
And we realize we bring together a group of like-minded people who are just trying to be healthier. We're all pretty much, for the most part, average people in different ways, and we're just trying to work together here because it's a chance to help encourage other people. Because we've said this before, and like, as we kind of get into like the whole YouTube journey beyond just the running journey, a lot of my close friends and my family can't relate to my YouTube journey at all, because they don't understand why I'm going to be commenting on people's things from midnight till 2 a.m. or after doing a video from, like, working on my own video from 10 till midnight after my daughter's gone to bed, right? People don't understand that. Or like for you, working a full-time job all day, coming home, filming video and literally holding the camera out while you run. Like, did you hold the camera the entire marathon?
That was a question. So if I was actually on the race, like actually in the course, yes, I would have. But because I was doing the loops, well, when I was doing the shorter loops of 400 meters, there was a period where I was able to just put it on the drink table and pick it up. But no, usually I mean, I run it with me all the time. I do have a couple of different selfie sticks, some that are longer and some that are extendable and some that I can kind of stick into a pocket. So depending on the situation, I might change it up. But if it's just a casual run, I don't mind having a bigger one with a tripod that kind of flips out at the bottom because, I'm going to be filming that document. Whereas you would have noticed in the actual race video, I didn't do any of the run bys and stuff. It was all just FaceTime. That's because I wasn't obviously, spending time doing any of that because I was focused on getting to the end. But no, the whole way through, essentially, I mean, there was a few times I put it down just to kind of free the hands up. But traditionally, I've got it with me the whole time. I mean, I'm not running like with my arm up like this, but yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Nice to see you, Blend Art Studio. Always nice to see you drop by here. Yeah, and we get the comment in there. Life and YouTube balance is so tough. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And for a lot of us, like for me, the YouTube balance. And Chris, I'm curious about yours. And Jashim, good to see you. Always fantastic. Another amazing creator. He's got awesome stuff. If you haven't seen Jashim stuff, for sure, swing by his channel. His editing is on point as you go through. Welcome. Yeah. For me, the YouTube life balance is hard because you're trying to balance time with people who are important in your life, whether it be family, if you're in a relationship with someone, you're balancing your job. But then you're also trying to figure out how do you support other creators while still making sure you're building your own brand. So for me, like I was thinking about this just today. I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine, and he's not involved in YouTube at all, but he knows I'm doing this. And he just said, like, how do you do it? I said, honestly, I'm struggling personally right now between replying to so many comments, but still being able to give time to other people to reach out to them to make sure, because as we know, a lot of YouTube, what you give is what you get.
Yeah.
And you end up giving a lot more than you get back. At least I feel like that some days. Maybe it's wrong, but that's how I feel some days.
Yeah.
And as you go through, you genuinely get invested in other people's lives. Now, I subscribe to a lot of people by nature of just how my YouTube journey's unfolded, but you also realize there's probably about 30 people in there who you're really invested in their lives. Yep. Like you're curious to see what their next video is gonna. You feel you're gonna see what their next video is gonna be about. You're curious to see how they're doing life because you don't often have a chance to see them in real life. Like we've never met in real life. Like I haven't had a chance to meet like. The only other creator I've met in my day-to-day or quote-unquote real life in person is Kevin K, who I had him on one week, and we were just talking all YouTube analytics.
Yep.
And if you're into YouTube analytics and you love knowing ways to grow your channel, I posted, it's a live I did maybe a month ago now. I can't remember.
It's really good.
See the thumbnail, it's all bananas in the background because when you hit 1,000 subscribers, the reason why I chose bananas, in case you don't know, when you get 1,000 subscribers, they send you an email, and it's all bananas in the background falling from sky. So that's where the bananas comes from. So if you didn't know the reason why bananas, that's why.
Is that the same for everyone though, or is it different?
I think it's the same for everyone because I've seen it a couple other times. I think it's all bananas, unless they looked at me and thought this guy's crazy. So we're sending bananas. I'm not sure, but so for me, that's what it was. And as a lot of you guys know, like. It's a challenge, and like Frances is saying right there, she's missed us this month because she's been on a YouTube hiatus, and Jashim says like, hey, seriously, I put YouTube on mute. We have to sometimes because sometimes YouTube can be all encompassing, and I've said this, I know I've said this to Chris. I'm not sure if I've said it online before. The fact that so much of like you're putting out like YouTube it takes a lot out of you. I've never worked harder for something that there wasn't some kind of payback. Like this is the hardest I've ever worked for an unpaid job ever. And
I mean, I think that's a very good point, Brad, because I mean, essentially it's like a full-time job, especially as you start to move up. I mean, I've got half the amount of, subscribers as you. So if I'm feeling like there's a lot happening, it's not too bad at the moment, but I can't even fathom yet what it's like when you've got 1,000, 2,000, 3, and then, but the way I look at it, and obviously I will have to, practice what I preach once that happens. But, I think as we grow as new creators, before even probably up to, the first couple of thousand subscribers, is a lot of those people are in the same situation as us. They're all YouTubers, right? I think as you grow, and I see it on a lot of the bigger channels, is those people that are following those channels, they're not YouTubers. They're actual people watching the content. And I think the difference there is, as you scale, there'll be this level of the conversation or the time you're investing into other people won't have to be necessarily going and checking out their content and helping them out and helping them grow. It's actually just giving that comment of saying, hey, thanks for being here and glad you love this, or do you have a question, right? And that time difference will be huge, right? You'll be able to save a lot. And I think that's, as you progress, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, is building a following of, super fans or 1,000 true fans, because at the end of the day, yes, this is it's going to be a full-time job. Like it takes a lot of your time, but you need to everyone's not going to have it's like if you meet someone, they're not all going to have the same connection, and it's not personal. It's just the way it is. Everyone clicks differently. So my intent is always to give back and share some love to everyone that's commenting and giving me, a like or whatever. And then also try and give back to their content as well, because, I get it. I'm in the same situation. I'm trying to build something here, but I also want to help them build, but I can't necessarily, as I said with my videos, my training videos, they were an hour videos each week. And I was a bit scared to post that, because I'm thinking no one's going to watch my content, because who has an hour? Now, there was people that was watching the full thing end to end, and there was people that was watching 10 minutes. And I started to just say, hey, that's fine. Like that's all I can ask. If you're coming here just to watch 5 minutes, thank you. If you're here for the whole hour, thank you. And I think that was the beauty of the timestamps and things like that as well, because people could jump in and see what they want. And Kevin, one of the other guys, we've grown a great connection. He doesn't run, but he loves my content for just the different stuff I'm bringing, and it's got nothing to do with running. So I think once I realize that and start to say, well, if anyone's giving it a like, jumping in, giving it a comment, that's all I can ask for, right? I'm not expecting people to be like, hey, you have to watch the whole thing.
No, and I agree completely, because for me, we're getting some questions now. We've gotten away from the marathon. We're talking YT chats. If anyone's got YouTube content creator questions, ask us, because Chris and I are both on this journey together, as most of you are.
Yeah.
For me, as I go along, like you said, the big, and Jashim, I'm gonna get to your question 1 second. It's a great question. For me, as I go along, I find that when you get people involved, so I got people complaining saying my videos are too long, and I replied to them. I said, and as Jashim said earlier, the content, you post your own content. My workout long videos were for me, because I filmed because I was working out. If you want to follow along, that's awesome. But I wasn't doing it for other people. My BS banters, and that's something complete I added in after, because people said, how do we get to know you as a person? So I tried to mix a few other things in. What I've had to do, because I really want to maintain my relationship with people, I've had to cut out lately 1 workout video a week, because I couldn't stay on top of all the questions and comments the whole way through. Welcome, Fit Rush. Fantastic guy. He is, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Fit Rush, you are in India joining us, which is awesome. And as we go through, and like I said, we are shrinking the world. Jashim asked this. No need to apologize, Jashim. But what do you struggle with in the creative process? For me, to be honest, my struggle in the creative process, I'm pretty lucky. I like to work out, but I think my struggle is trying to find workouts that are different than my other workouts. So a lot of them are repetitive. I was trying to mix up the combinations a bit and length of time, because everyone's at a different level. For my BS banters, the ones I do on Monday, where I get to show a bit of my quirky side of personality, whether it be something like talking about weather changing, or whether it be talking about visiting Niagara Falls when I went there. And at the very final scene, I was riding, and not many people saw it, because it was like a hidden thing about it at the end of credits. I literally found a shopping cart at the top of a hill, and I rode it down the hill, and I bailed out to the bottom when the speed got too heavy. So I put my camera at the bottom. This is out of your book, Chris. Put my camera at the bottom. I just rode this shopping cart down this really steep hill until I thought this could be the enemy. So then it rocketed off into the rocks, and I hopped off. So for me, creative content is always I've always got a lot rattling around up here. There's always different stuff happening. And then my 1K a week challenge is where I led into the mukbangs. So now I do a monthly mukbang, and I just put one out this week. It's 5,000 calories in a jar of peanut butter or whatever it was. Physically it took a bit of a toll. I was feeling it the next day, but I won that. That's 2 mukbangs, Brad, 1 mukbang for mukbang sandwich. Francis says, I think it's true that if you care about a creator, as you get to know them, you start to show up for that creator, even if you make completely different content. 100%. Like Francis posts content that like I have trouble relating to in a lot of ways, because Francis is so in touch, and Francis Floyd is so in touch with her emotional side, and she deals with
very much
that I need to be better at. And I'm being completely honest. I'm not good at that. I grew up, like my dad grew up on a farm. So if I ever expressed any kind of emotion growing up ever, that was considered a sign of weakness by him. And my dad would always tell me the same thing. Everyone has enough problems of their own. They don't need to hear about your problems.
That's right.
So when I was told this my whole life growing up, you grow up now as an adult.
Yeah.
I don't tell anyone my problems at all. Even if they ask, I have to get to a real different level to share them. And I know that that's not healthy, but I don't know how to combat it. So seeing people like Francis share that, she gets very open. She shares a completely different side of her that at this stage, I don't know how to do that yet. So I share another part of me because like we're all wired differently. And so that's different. Thanks so much. FitRush comments the fact he likes the fact my videos are always in different locations. Yeah, they're all different. I don't even know where the next one's going to be. For those of you who want to follow my workout tomorrow, my Halloween one, I'm working out literally in a graveyard. So if you're looking for a quick 20-minute workout tomorrow, I'm working out literally in a cemetery. So it's one spot right there. If you haven't done a workout in a cemetery, you can see what it's like for me. Welcome, Bobby. Great to see you, my friend. Chris, what's it like for the creative process for you?
Yeah, so and you answered it quite well, but it's different for everyone, right? So for me, I think, I mean, I don't enjoy the editing as much, just because, well, actually, now it's not too bad because I'm not doing a full hour video, but I think for me, as I've grown through it, the thing that I've had to adjust to is going through the process of expectation versus reality. Now, so, you know, there's so much influence and you see stuff on YouTube and you're like, I can do that. I want to do that. And then you do it and you're like, no, this doesn't meet it. So going through that journey, I realized to stick with what you're good at and you know, leverage that. So as I've progressed, and it's become very, very evident in my recent, you know, training series, is just sharing as it comes, right? And literally sharing me, being authentic. And a lot of that stuff I never did. I mean, I would always do my videos, but I would think, oh, no one wants to listen to this, so I wouldn't post it. You know, I would go a week and try and force and make a content or make a script or something that needs to be shared. Whereas now I'm just like, as I get back from a run, it's like, okay, this was on my mind. This is what I want to talk to you guys about, and that just flows naturally. It might not, you know, have all the perfect cuts and stuff, but a lot easier for the editing. But also, it's genuine and it's me. And I've realized that that's what people have asked. They said, oh, you know, this is good, or I'd love to hear that, or I have a question about this. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize people would be interested in this. And then I realized, well, who am I to judge what people want to watch? I mean, they can make that decision. So I think the creative process for me challenge has been really just getting comfortable with sharing and creating content that works for me, and being comfortable with it. And I think the number one golden rule is be yourself, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like I'll admit, I'm a quirky guy. I think what you see on camera, that's me. And I think, and like, so like if you know me for 5 minutes or 5 years, the personality you see there is like, I'm a pretty high energy guy. Like, so when you hear the, hey, this is Brad, like that's just who I am.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that, and I can't, like, when I see like Jashim's videos and I see people like, thanks, Beat Creations. Great to see you. Great advice. So true. I agree. Like, Chris has got a lot of wealth of knowledge there. I think one of the things too is I think some people, and I don't know how they do it. Like, I look at Jashim's videos. I look at like Francis' videos. I see Kevin's videos. Their videos are so well edited, so well put together. Whereas mine are so like, mine literally my iPhone and that's it. Sometimes my old iPhone 5. As I go through, that's it. But I think one thing that's important for a lot of people to realize, and if anyone has a creator question, ask Chris or I. We'll give you an honest answer. Like, if I don't know, Chris doesn't, we'll tell you if we don't know. We'll both be honest with you. Like,
well, I mean, but to that point, and I think it comes back to Jashim's as well, is, so in my last video, you know, I was talking about that, you know, you need to just take action rather than make excuses of, I need this in order to do that. Now, need could be, I want, you know, you think you need the latest gear or the latest video, or you think you need an office, or you think you need a studio, or you think you need to be better at something before you can start to share. When really, you're better off just starting with what you have. Like Brad, you've got your iPhone, but then you've got people that have the latest camera. But at the end of the day, you're all going to have different skills. And just because you have the newest camera doesn't mean you're going to have better content, right? That doesn't change anything. It just makes you think it's changing. So you're better off starting with the steps, progressing. Otherwise, you're going to sit still. And when you get that new item or that thing that you think is going to make it better, you're only going to get into that depression mentality or that, dissatisfaction of like, I got this, but nothing's changed. And then you'll lose motivation and then you won't continue on.
Yeah, Blend Art, you're asking, we're talking about just creating on YouTube as you're making your own videos as you go along. And Jashim mentions the fact that comfort is a hard thing to achieve when juggling so many things. But I think one thing that's important for all of us out here that are creators is like Bead Creation says, it's better to enjoy it rather than stress to make it perfect.
100%.
The imperfect video you post will always be better than the perfect video you don't post.
Yep.
And so as you look at your content, as you look at things, so like I'll say that one more time, and we're all in this spot. Not me so much because I post everything, and as I've told before, I joke about, I don't have a script. I've like 5 jot notes for dealing with for Chris and our conversation. That's the whole thing. And when I do other stuff, like I don't have jot notes. Like that's all I have. But like the video you post that's not perfect, but you post will always be better than the video you don't post.
Yeah.
Because the video you don't post. And I had this conversation. I was fortunate enough to have Francis and Kevin from Purpose Driven on a few weeks ago. And we talked about this after the chat, the fact that sometimes they take time off. And like what I would urge all of you as creators is if you can, avoid taking time off. Just reduce how often you post, because the fact is the longer you're away, the more all your other videos take a hit, regardless of how good they are. So whether it be putting out a live in any kind of context, try and find someone who you know can help carry the conversation with you. Have people who you know love to talk, and it makes it easier. And as you go through, it's just one of those things where you go along, you have your own style, and for everyone, it's unique. Hey, Alternative Tongue, great to see you. Awesome to have you out. So like Jashim's style. And I've never met Jashim in person. I have only met him, and for me, he's a recent YouTube friend. I call him friend as getting to know him online here. But as you go through, his style is so different than mine. I can't do what he does. He's so talented with bringing things together. As is another friend of mine, Kevin, who I was fortunate enough to have on live. And at some point, Jashim, you're going to get a message from me asking me. Hopefully, you'll join me at some point. But another friend of mine, Kevin, like the things he does, I'm just not capable of doing that. I just don't have the knowledge, the know-how. But man, do I ever appreciate what they bring to the table.
Yeah.
And they bring it through. I learned so much from them. And like and honestly, maybe this is embarrassing. I didn't even know what a B-roll was before Kevin and me started talking at one point. I was like, I don't even know what this is. Like, is this what? Like, do I have this? Do I need this? Like, I have no idea, because we all have different strengths. And for me, I'm still figuring out what my YouTube strength is, to be honest. Like, because we're all kind of finding a way. Thanks so much, Jashim. I love it. Jashim said he's in. We'll get him up there. We'll give him some. Make sure he gets on there. Yeah, he says it's a sushi menu item. But as we go through, like it's one of those things. So like where I'm at in my journey, like we're all making different strides. And I said to Chris before we started, like I'm around 220 hours away from being monetized. I'm just under 4,000 hours by a couple hundred. So that'll take me, I don't know how long it'll take me to get, but for me, like having just started this journey in April, like I'm thrilled with, like I'm having so much fun with it. And like it's people like yourself, Chris, it's people like Francis and everyone else as we go through to encourage each other along. Chris, what's one thing, like as we go straight like hardcore YouTube creator question, what would you say is, how do you go about finding, like, are you seeking out new subscribers, or are more new subscribers finding you organically, or are you going onto people's channels? How are you going about building your numbers up as you try and get closer to that magic 1,000 mark?
There's a lot there. So, I mean, I think from doing my recent series of the marathon, I think that's enabled my expansion of just a bit more people jumping in. And because there's a lot more people on YouTube at the moment because of the situations, that's been something to leverage. But the same thing that I do is I still try and block out time, and it's kind of like cold calling. Is just, going around and not just going to people's channels for the sake of it, and like, just leaving comments for the sake of it, but genuinely, if I see something and like I see thumbnail, I'm like, oh, this looks good, I'll jump in and then actually take the time, because what I am trying to be, as much as I want to give everyone as much love as possible and to get as many people to me, I also want to be 100% genuine with it, because at the same time, when I start that, I then have to, I want to commit to that and build that relationship. And so I think there's a couple of areas here. So I do that cold calling in a genuine effect and reach out and say, hey, look, I see some value here, want to let you know. And I've done it to a few people where, like, I mean, I'm never going to do that. Like, they might be doing a type of exercise routine or something, but I might jump in there and say, okay, look, I'm never going to do this, but the way you're presenting yourself on the channel or the way you're bringing this, it's like, I can see the value here, and I think, I want to support you. So I come in from a different element, because I think that's what other people think that they do, is that they go into a content and they're like, I'm never going to do this. Why would I follow you? Like, why would I support you? And they just disappear. Whereas I try to look at it from the other perspective as like, okay, this person's trying to build, whether it's a business or create some content here. So they jump in, and there's a few people where they do yoga. Now, I do yoga, but I'm probably not going to go sit and do an hour of yoga with them. But I can look at it and like, I'll look at it and I'll say, it's like, okay, for someone that I know, I've been to a yoga studio, I've paid for a yoga studio, but to see the content you're
way
giving,
ahead of me. You're way ahead of me.
The content that they're bringing, they're giving it for free, right?
Yeah.
And the value you're bringing is so much better, or potentially better, than what's in the studio. So it's like you need to know that, because, well, one, I know what it's like when you're trying to build something, and that little encouragement will help you go, the extra mile. So there's that point. And then when people do comment on my stuff, if I know who they are, well, there's always that ongoing banter. But if it's someone new, I will, when they comment, I'll jump over to the channel, check it out, and give some love back. And I try to do that with the most, honest gratitude and intent possible. Sometimes there's be people that, and I've started to realize that there's people that are commenting, they don't have a YouTube channel, right? They've got nothing on there. So I'm like, to me, it makes my life a little easier, because, I just have to reply to a comment.
Yeah, I agree. And like, for me, I'm not a big yoga guy. I'm not very bendy, but I've had a chance to like get to know some of the yoga people on there, and I'll take yoga moves and incorporate them into my life. Alternative tongue, we're talking about just growing on YouTube. We're talking about growing on YouTube. And so like this coming Tuesday, I'm going to do a live on Tuesday night where it's just going to be a drop-in. I'm going to post the link, so anyone who wants to come on the screen like Chris is right now, and you just want to talk to me, tell me about your channel. Tell everyone about your channel. Like, it gives a chance. So if anyone's interested in just popping on for 2-3 minutes, and just want a little bit of FaceTime, like, just get some FaceTime with me. And if you just want to practice being on live, go for it. We'll get you on there. There's nothing to it. Like, you got to put up with me for a bit. That's kind of the way it goes. Yeah, Jashim says that's the best when people start following you who aren't actually who aren't YouTubers. 100%.
Yeah.
And you also know that's very rare, because we're so small. Food Fight, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. I love it. Yeah, so
but to Jashim's point, I think that's where I mean, depending on why you're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube just to create content, just have some fun, that's great. If you're looking for the longer period, if it, to make some money, make a lifestyle or whatever, I think that's potentially where when I say it loosely, it's like that's where the money's at, or that's where the value is, or you're giving the value. Because if you've got people rocking up, tuning in, that aren't here because they're fellow YouTubers, but they're here because they're an audience. It's like a TV show, right?
Oh,
it's, at 8 p.m. every Friday night or whatever, Mandalorian's going to be on. So you're tuning in. Whereas, we don't have a TV show of our own. We're just an audience watching the TV show. So if you've got people that are jumping in that don't have a YouTube, that to me gives me a bit more credit to know that they're actually taking time out of their day to come here and, rather than watching Netflix, they're watching you.
Yeah, Shim, I'm trying to eat. We're all trying to eat, my friend. We're all trying to eat. I love it. I think the other thing too you realize is, for those of you who are earlier on in your YouTube journey, or you're struggling a bit, and I'm early. I consider myself early on too. It hasn't been a year yet. I started late April. There's a lot of people who, just since I've started, who've completely dropped off and vanished. And they're posting a lot. And some of it becomes, have a schedule that you can, my suggestion for you is have a schedule you can maintain. And so for me, I realized just recently I had to pare back my schedule based on my life changing a bit outside of YouTube. But also, because the amount of comments I was getting, I couldn't keep up with them all and still support people. So I actually pulled out from posting one workout a video a week. The trade-off was this. I realized, enjoy your dinner, Victoria. I realized as we go along that my actual workouts were being cut into, and I couldn't do as many of them the way I want to because there's replying into so many comments.
Yeah.
So the reason why I started my channel, I wasn't able to continue because of my channel. And that's when I realized and I did that for a few weeks thinking like,
it's
the one thing that's fallen by the wayside is my workout. The reason why I started this is the fact that I want to get in shape. And now I'm not working out because of comments. So I thought something's got to change. So what I did is I'm still working out as much, but I'm not posting one of my workouts a week. Because I figured
what you basically said there is just understanding your why, right? And you've had to kind of just, take a step back and say, okay, so why did I start this? Why am I doing this? It was for X, Y, Z. Now, at the same time, you've gained a great community and you're not going away. It's more around you want to keep to a routine that you're going to be able to give people the value they want, but also not drive you insane. Because it's a key thing, right? I think it's a juggling act. And I think the people that I've seen that have disappeared, it's either they thought, look, I don't want to generalize, but there is some of those general points that people are jumping on because they think it's going to be a quick win to money and fame, or a quick win to X and Y, or they get into it and realize, okay, this stuff, it's not easy, right? Like, not when I say it's not easy to grow, but it's not easy doing the filming. It's not easy doing the editing. It's not easy doing FaceTime. Everyone's going to be different. And there's people that don't have channels with their FaceTime. There's people that edit in different ways. There's people that do animations. So everyone that's doing it in their own way, they're doing it in their own way because that's their why, or that's their way. And I think as people try to do what others are doing and trying to be something else, that's when they'll burn and fail, or if they're being unrealistic. So my advice on that is 100%, you need to understand your why. I mean, I can say this I don't want to say the most, but I know this because I've been here since, I've been on since 2011, but doing the running since
January
like
2011.
But the actual, routine content, it was around 2016, 2017. So, I mean, I'm been sticking it out, and I've learned a lot over the years in terms of what I've done wrong and what I need to be doing better. And I'm still going to continue to learn. So, I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I've grown more in this year than I have in the last 3 years. And that excites me because I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to get into the zone where I need to be.
Yeah. And for me too, it's honestly, like I said, Jashim says he didn't think it was going to be a quick win, but definitely did not expect to put in this much work. I agree completely.
Yeah.
And for me, and I think all of us, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're in the chat, put in where, like, for me, the most challenging part is going to be different for all of us. For me, the easy part is the filming, like, and coming up with workouts. Like, I love that stuff. But for me, the hard and slow part is the comments. Man, they take a lot of time. I like commenting, but the editing, for me, I'm not naturally good at editing. Whereas I think someone like Jashim, correct me if I'm wrong, editing comes more to you, right? Like as you go along. Jashim asked Chris, he asked you a good question. He says, what did you do from year to year that you broke out? So what are you doing differently for this year to be the year where you broke out?
It's a very good point. So I think when I started, I was kind of just, one, you're just learning, right? So you're not really knowing how to interact. You're not really knowing what works. And I see that a lot of new people, they post stuff up, but they're not answering to comments. And I go back now and there's comments that I hadn't answered like years ago, right? So that was probably the start. And then what I then start to dabble in was, trying to do vlogs and, really make it kind of like you're the B-roll and all the fluff. But that I struggled with. I couldn't do it because I was getting frustrated with myself because I had this expectation and it wasn't meeting. As I've progressed, you go through your peaks and troughs in terms of, what was working, what wasn't. And I think I was just doing it because I'm like, I want to do this weekly, but I was just doing it for the sake of doing it. I wasn't really doing it with intent. And then when we hit at the start of this year, I mean, I've been doing training series, and those training series I've realized have been where I've enjoyed it the most as me. But as I've progressed through, and this year I've had a lot more time to think, obviously, I started to look at it from a different perspective and like, okay, maybe I should just start to share, not try and cut out the things that I think people won't want to see, but start to just share more of me genuinely and raw. And through my training series, it moved from 5 minutes, 12 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then it was hour.
Oh yeah, they were long. Some of those were long.
And they were only long because I wasn't just doing running. I was putting in everything that goes with that, everything with live, everything of trying to create it, everything just in general. And I realized I had actually been doing all that since day one. I just wasn't sharing it. I wasn't filming it. I was cutting it out. And now I've realized that people wanted that. And that's helped me grow now this year with, you know, obviously sharing and meeting new people and doing more, you know, of this kind of stuff. But I think now that I've gotten into that more of a comfort zone, so not a comfort zone, but into a position where I realize this is where my, you know, this is me, this is where I'm comfortable being me. And I should have just done it earlier. I should have just gotten over that little hump of like, oh, you know, people are going to see me being emotional or being vulnerable. But, you know, that the marathon video that I did, I mean, there's stuff in there that I would never have posted, you know, a year ago. And even in my training series, I think it was week 12 or something where I did a 27K and I got to the end of it and I broke into tears. I was contemplating like, maybe I won't share this, but I'm like, no. If I don't share it, I'm not giving it enough justice of what, you know, I'm not giving the reality of the training, right? Because anyone that's not, and that was the intent of the training series and the marathon video was, one, I wanted to give anyone that's a runner that same, you know, experience that they, you know, to resonate with it, because we all feel it. Whereas if you're not a runner, I wanted people to realize that, you know, this stuff ain't easy, right? I might make it look easy just because I'm cutting and, you know, giving you the end result or whatnot, but no. There's blood, sweat, and tears in this, literally, for some of us, right? And help people understand that, you know, anyone can do this. I didn't get here from just, you know, waking up and doing it. I've had to put a lot of work into it and years, right? I mean, I'm doing a second marathon, but it took me, you know, 5-6 years to do my first marathon. So you can't compare. And I think that's where people get lost, is that timeline of trying to compare up here when really we're here, and, you know, you will get there and people are looking and they're thinking you're up there, right? So you're in a journey and you just need to understand that and, you know, go with it. I mean, I'm 561 subs now and I'm not, you know, hitting the big time, but at the same time, I'm enjoying it more than I was when I started. So that, to me, that's a win.
Yeah, and it's different. And like we said, it's different for all of us. Like Jashim says, editing's his favorite part. Like, I'd love to do a video with Jashim. I will do whatever he says to do. I will be the clay he can mold, and he can just do whatever I want and film anything. And as we know, like, I have no shame. I'll ride shopping carts down hills. I'll sit in the middle of a very busy place, need a kilogram of peanut butter. Like, that stuff doesn't bother me. Good to see you, Studies and Gatti. Nice of you to join us. Celine Ferocious, Fashion Late. Always better late than never, Celine. It is great to see you as we go through. And I think the biggest thing is for all of us, like, especially as small YouTubers, we're learning. We're new at this. The big thing. Jashim says it's taking it. Honestly, Jashim, when this border opens up, you are not that far. You're probably 7-hour drive. I can make that thing in 6. I got a bit of a heavy foot, and I don't think I have any outstanding tickets in New York State. That's good. Michigan, on the other hand, is a bit of an issue. But anyway, I digress. But as we think about it, yeah, it's just like we all have different strengths. So like my one thing, if I'm telling the other creators, put out something every week. Put out something every week. It doesn't matter, even if it's not perfect, you put out something. Because like I said before, your imperfect video posted is way better than your perfect video you didn't post. So if that means you're posting it and you didn't have that chance to do that last perfect edit, or because don't forget, your version of perfect is different than mine.
Yeah.
Right. And I posted videos after I felt like, I screwed up the count, or I didn't have the same thing going over. And I realized I got 2 options: take it down, lose the watch hours, lose the people, lose it all, or just deal with it. And for me, it becomes part of my learning process. And my videos have kind of progressed over time. Not great, to be honest, because like I haven't.
They're doing great, man. They're doing great.
Thanks, buddy. But as we go through, but it's just kind of, we all work with different strengths. So like, if there's one message to give it to other creators, 100%. Post the imperfect video over waiting for it to be perfect, and have any kind of your consistent, have a consistent schedule, whatever that may be. FitLab joining us, Chris, one of your favorite people on YouTube. I agree, FitLab. I didn't get any love from you, but that's okay, because Chris is also one of my favorite people on YouTube. I'm just messing with you. Francis makes an awesome point in here. She said,
this is a very good point.
My favorite videos are my best performing videos. You are the worst critic for sure. And I think that is so good to say. Thank you for sharing that, Francis. Is the fact we don't know what's going to resonate.
Exactly.
We don't know also when it's going to resonate, because I've had videos that basically didn't do much, and then 3 weeks later, all of a sudden, I don't know if the YouTube algorithm picked them up, or just someone said like, oh, like let's check out what it's like to try and eat 1,000 grains of raw rice. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Right? None of us do.
But it's a true point, right? It's kind of like, I mean, if we met each other in person, like, you know, we're not going to be surprised by each other because, I mean, we have conversations all the time, but because I'm starting to share more and more, when we have had conversations, we feel like we already know each other. Whereas if you're being something that isn't you on the channel, right, or you're cutting out parts, you're gonna meet up with these people and you're gonna like, whoa, he's up to, but like you might just become a bit like overwhelmed or freaked out because all of a sudden, if they're completely something different. And now I get that there's people that have channels and they play a certain style because that's the channel, that's what it's about, and that's a different conversation. But I've realized if I start to cut out some of the the emotional stuff, if I cut out who I am, it's not who I am in real life. So it's I don't want to be just giving people a highlight reel. I want people to see that when I was doing my running, how it is. And the good example that kept me really honest was, I think it was week 3 or 4 into my 20-week training series, is I pulled my back and I'm like, I can't be doing this now. Like, how am I going to do content? I've pulled my back. What, people aren't going to want to watch this, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to, instead of run, I'm going to do my walk because I still need to walk and keep some exercise. And I filmed it, right? And I'm like, this is the reality of it. I can either just say, I'm not going to film, I'm not going to do anything, but I'm like, well, no, there's still a way to progress, and you're going to come along with me. And whether you want to watch me walk or not, that's fine. But at least you now know that I've done it. And I think that's the mentality and the honesty that I want to continue to share.
Yeah, and it's so much of it is being genuine, as you said, and I try to be as genuine as I can in all my videos. And I know, because I've met different people. Like, I've spoken to probably 20 different creators one-on-one via Zoom or Google Meets or whatever. Some, to be honest, many of them only one time. Because oftentimes they've got questions for me. They want to know what I do for SEO, and like, I'm happy to answer anyone's questions. Like, I'm very open. Like, I'm happy to share. If I can help you be more successful, I'm happy to do that. But one thing you realize is meeting with people is some people have got like their film presence and their legitimate presence, where you realize like these are like, it's like two sides to the coin. It's not the same person. And that's what you realize over time. Some people you just kind of keep kind of putting in as you get to know them, realize like, this is someone who, if we literally weren't half a world apart, you could hang out with. And this person would legitimately be your friend. Like, if we lived in the same country, like, I could hang out with Chris. It wouldn't be a big deal. I'm not saying that because Chris is online with me right now. And no, I'm being sincere. Like, I could sit down, I could have a pint with Chris. We could like go out, play some tennis, go for a run, like whatever. Like you meet people online you'd never meet in real life. You think like, I could hang out with this guy. Like, as you go through. And I think that's one thing, as we shrink the world and bring everyone together. Chris has been so good. We're gonna give 4 minutes left. So if anyone has a question, hit us with a question. We're gonna get off here in 4 more minutes. If any of you want to join me on Tuesday night and you want to come on screen like Chris is, I'm literally just gonna do a drop-in session. 8:30 Tuesday night. Any creators who want to come in, just talk content. You want to talk about your channel, let me know what you think. Take a couple minutes. I might be here just by myself talking Tuesday night. I have no idea, but I'm happy. Like, I just want to give people a forum, especially if some of you have never gone live before and you want to see what it's like. Guinea pig on my channel. Like, really, like, I'm an easygoing guy. Like, I'll walk you through it. And one of the things I want to do at one point is talk through, like, when you're running a live, the best way to do that, because it's very different running a live versus when you run a video. Because a lot of you guys realize when you run a video, you can do 20 takes and no one knows. Whereas when you do a live right now, I'm like, what we get with Chris, like, this is the
full bundle.
Yeah, like, we get Chris with that incredible and lush head of hair, which I feel like every time I see, he's just showing off. And sometimes, at first, I thought it was almost a wig, right? I feel like you could just literally just pull that thing off, and just pull it right through there. Yeah, it's just outstanding. So you can see it's not a wig. He doesn't have the headband on just to mask the fact that that's not his real hair. It is. If you haven't had a chance to get, like, there's other comments on there. FitLab mentions the fact that it's a love-hate relationship with editing, 80 to 100 hours to edit videos. Last week, it's killing me, but I love the creative process. That's awesome. And you get through it. And in the end, the biggest thing is you need to be happy with your own videos.
Yeah.
And so for me to say put it out imperfect is better than not putting it out at all. But if you're not going to be happy with it, there becomes that point where you have to decide, are you being a perfectionist to the point where you're hurting yourself? Because that can often be an issue, where some of us, we're our own harshest critics, so we want it to be so perfect that we don't give ourselves the opportunity to put it out. Give other people the chance, because a lot of people appreciate our imperfections.
Yeah.
And so I think our imperfections are also what make us human. So for me, like I said, I don't script anything, and sometimes it's embarrassing. I watch back video and we're like, and today's workout is, shoot. Well, and I literally, you can see me pause as I try to figure out what I'm working. Like I have it all mapped out in my head, but I just forget in the moment. Okay. Jashim asked, do you have a number in your head that will make you feel like this was all worth it? Jashim, are you referring to total number of subs, or are you referring to a total number of views per video, or is it just in general? Let me know what you think in the comments before we wrap up here. For me, I don't have a number of subs, because to be honest, this is going to sound crazy. I had no expectations of me ever getting 1,000 subs.
Yeah.
I Googled on YouTube because I knew it took 1,000 subs and 4,000 hours to be monetized. So I Googled on YouTube how long it takes to get 1,000 subs. Apparently, it used to take on average 3 years to get 1,000 subs. That was the average it took. I think that's all changed and shifted completely because of what's going on in the world, and so many people are spending on time online now.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, myself included, those numbers change. The 4,000 hours has taken me much longer, because the hours in the beginning, as I look at it, the hours are hard to get when you're small, because you only have, like, you're getting 25 views on a video. Whereas over time, people are watching more and more of my videos. And I realized too, over time, that's why, like, I do the mukbangs and stuff like that. Like, that's a quirky side of my personality that I try to put in. Aaron says, I'm definitely a perfectionist and won't release something unless I feel it's ready to go and be top quality searchable video. It's helped me grow quickly and get a lot of views ongoing for my videos. So again, it comes down to what you're happy with, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And he says on there, but he can't keep going weeks between releasing. So he has to figure, I agree, Aaron, 100%. It's that balance. It's the balance. It's the balance. It's the balance. And it is hard to find the balance, especially because correct me if I'm wrong, like, all of us have a job besides YouTube, right? And maybe some people who are following along here don't have jobs outside of YouTube because for like their job allows them to be at home more, or because of what's going on in the world, their job is shut down right now, where they're not able to work through no fault of their own. And sometimes life just happens where you're unemployed. Like, I get that. I understand that happens. So it's different for all of us. But the balance, as we talked about, is hard. We've been on here for an hour and 25. I gotta make sure Chris gets his day going. If you haven't had a chance to check out Chris's marathon video of him running it in his backyard, I think it's around 30 minutes. I think it's around 28, 27 minutes. I think somewhere in there. It is 30 minutes well spent of your life, where literally the time, it flies by. You realize the ups and downs of what it takes to do a full marathon. You literally feel the raw emotion with Chris as he goes through. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, CL Furlong, check it out. His link will be in the description here. He's an amazing guy. And having gotten a chance to know Chris, like, in the last few months, 4 or 5 months since we've been chatting offline with Chris, what you see on here, this is Chris, is who he is. He's a genuine guy. He's as they say down under, he's a bloke, and it is what it is, right? He's just one of those guys. You got a question, ask him. He'll do his best to help you out. Same sense too. If anyone ever wants to send a question through to me, let me know. Let me know what your question is. I will do my very best. I'm good about getting back to people. I'm happy to help you guys out any way I can. If you want to stop by Tuesday night and you got YT crate questions, ask them. I'll give you a chance to get online with us right here. Daddy Gaines, great to see you, Cholo. Better late than never. You always make me smile, my friend. If you want to, Frances Floyd, she gets it right. In case some of you guys are wondering, I'm just gonna put this out now. I haven't used a moderator in the past. I didn't need one. Frances, thank you so much. She's behind the scenes. I won't put her on camera right now. I won't put her on the spot. She's helping me out because I did a live one time and I never had a moderator. I don't have a very big channel. But I had someone came on, and in the chat, they started saying inappropriate things. And I found it hard to keep the chat going. And a lot of things were saying, like, they're just not anything I was comfortable with and not anything that I would ever endorse or support. So I wanted to make sure. And tonight, I don't think it's been an issue. And if it was, Frances, thanks for taking care of it. Like, because I had no idea. So Frances was the bouncer at the door. She made sure everything went through. When I talked to Frances after, she'll let me know how it all went down. But I love that Frances was here. My suggestion, have a moderator, have someone who you trust, who you can just say, like, I need you to bail me out here. Because on my end, in case you're wondering, I can see what goes on, but I'm also like I'm just excited to have Chris here, so a chance to chat. So for me, it's one of those things. Have a moderator, Francis, unsung hero behind the scenes. Thank you so much for giving of your time to be here, and it's just awesome. If anyone wants to join me Tuesday night, what I'm gonna do different on Tuesday night. I'm gonna keep putting the link right in the chat box so people can just click on the link and literally come on screen like Chris is, and just join me for 2 or 3 minutes. Ask me a creator question live. Tell me about your channel. Tell everyone else who's on about your channel. Let's just help each other grow. Let's just help continue to build this community, and we continue to support each other. Honestly, I'm convinced I've got an amazing community. You guys are the best. Celine says, and Celine is so right, not all heroes wear capes. Some moderate, some hold live streams, and some run marathons in their yards. Celine, on that note, we're going to shut this thing down. Celine, I'll leave that comment. You're a fantastic human being. Thank you, Celine, for making me smile so many times you do. She's got a great channel. You get into her life. Got an amazing community. Thank you, Chris, for giving your time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being a friend of mine. I genuinely appreciate your friendship. I appreciate the time you give. Your channel is not only inspiring, it's encouraging, it's motivating, and I learn a lot from you as a person and just the YouTube journey. And just thank you so much for everything you do, Chris. I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, and 100% likewise back to you, man. I mean, being here, guys, I mean, I think it's one thing that I would encourage is, find people like Brad that you can connect with and communicate with, because even though we're doing this live now, like we do have a lot of back and forth banter through the week, and we catch up. And I think that's what's really important is, if you are going to do live streams, I mean, it's great to do collaborations, but finding people that you're genuinely supporting or genuinely connected with, right? Because I think that's what makes it a huge difference. I mean, I'm not here to just, get the live stream and then run, but hopefully one day I'll be able to meet Brad in person 100% once everything changes. But that would be my strong advice for the live streams, is trying to connect with people in the same in the same mindset and mentality, because that way, it's not a one and done kind of thing, but you're growing and building this together.
Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you to all of us for cheering us on. Chris, when is your next video coming out? Last thought.
Next video will probably be, well, I've got to be careful with time zone, so it'll probably be your majority of, if it's America, it might be Sunday or Monday. For me, it will be either Monday or Tuesday.
Awesome. So early next week for those of us in North America. For me, if you're looking for a workout tomorrow morning, I've got a quick 20-minute workout. I take a walk into a graveyard. I literally work out in a cemetery. It's a really quick work. It's 666 reps in honor of Halloween. So tomorrow morning, if you're looking for a workout, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. I filmed it today. Beautiful day to work out in a graveyard for me. I'm Brad. That's Chris. It's myBSlife. That's Chris right there. It's myBSlife. Until next time, guys, I hope I see a bunch of you Tuesday. Have a good night. Until next time.
Thanks, folks. Ciao.